not changed for hotel management programs. And I think, this element, this mindset that you develop in hotel management school is something that is extremely valuable for any company or any industry that is service oriented or is customer focused. And that is where, I see a lot of opportunity for students who are graduating out of hotel management colleges programs to get into diverse fields. So, today we are going to talk about retail and how, retail can be an opportunity for you. Retail is, growing by leaps and bounds, and all across. You open the newspaper and first 3, 4, 5 jacket ads are that of Reliance Retail, Big Bazaar, Big Basket, and such companies, and or Amazon, Flipkart, and so on. And obviously, as inquisitive beings, we see that there is huge. Obviously, this industry is growing, and there is huge opportunity. Now, I'm here to tell you today that, as hotel management students, you are anyway about 80% prepared to get into an industry like this. Now, I told you that in '96, I graduated out of hotel management school. And pretty much in India, retail started back in about 1998. I went outside India to study. And in 2004, when I came and joined, I by accident got into a company that was developing its retail business. Back then, there was this company called Spar, which had a tie-up with Radhakrishna Foodland. And I joined them. And, my first thoughts were, as hotel management student, am I equipped enough through the course, through the curriculum that I have gone through in the 3 years, and then I did a degree program, so a 4th year. Did this 4-year program actually enable me to get into something like retail? I had a lot of skepticism, like any other, student would have. My mindset was primarily, hotels, restaurants, QSRs, and cafes. That was the mindset, and honestly, or an entrepreneur. While going through this whole process, those were the options that were actually given to us by our faculty working in a hotel and so on. And I did my specialization in food and beverage, so I thought maybe work in a food and beverage environment. But once I came into retail, I saw that there is now. I'll talk to you a little bit about retail, and then we will kind of go to how the opportunities open up, and I will kind of park this story here for now. With the skepticism, I'm entering retail, and there's I'm kind of questioning what is retail, and is it the right place for me? And then I will circle back to the journey and take you from there and share a few options. So today, broadly, we will cover an introduction to retail, how hotel management students have a retail mindset already, the commonalities between retail and food and hospitality. I will also introduce you to the few concepts of food services in the retail sector, and what different formats exist at a larger level in retail, and how some of these kind of metamorphose into more hardcore F&B concepts. Then we will talk a little bit about fresh categories. We'll talk about fruits and vegetables category. We'll talk a little bit about non-veg, chocolates and patisserie, fresh breads, and so on, and how these opportunities within retail can be a huge winner for hotel management students. I'll also talk a little bit about how this sector is growing and what are the latest trends that are fueling this sector. Also, a little bit about online retail and omni channels and how they are kind of developing. and maybe what kind of opportunities will open up for us in the post-COVID world, since COVID is something which is top of the mind for all of us. So we'll spend the next half an hour kind of, going through some of this, and then we will open the floor for questions. I would like you to ask a lot of questions. See me as one like you who has gone through a hotel management program, who also got into working with Taj Group of Hotels, working with Sanjeev Kapoor, which are hardcore F&B companies, and then also doing a gamut of retail. So maybe I will be able to somewhere kind of assist you guys in looking at retail as a possible sector for you. Yeah. So we'll start with some broad statistics on retail. So retail, if we look at the Indian market, retail is humongous. Retail is the estimated industry size of retail today is about $980 billion. Yeah, it's huge. Now contribution of modern retail. Now look at how retail is in India. On one side, retail is, a lot of our neighborhood stores, the kirana stores, the unorganized stores. And on the other side, there are these modern retail outlets, huge hypermarkets, supermarkets, and so on. So pretty much the modern retail, which evolved, I said, started in about 1998 in India. So it's been a little more than 2 decades now, contributes about 95 billion to the total size of 980 billion. So we are still saying that the contribution is about somewhere 9 to 10%. And we as urban guys living in large cities like Mumbai, Gurgaon, Delhi, we see that maybe retail is just pretty much these large stores. No, this is only 9% of it. 91% of retail is still sitting in the kiranas and the unorganized sector. Now, the good news for all of us is that this segment has been growing at a CAGR of 15% each year. Yeah, so that's good news that in today's time when we are hearing horror stories about how different industries are not doing well, COVID will finish a lot of stuff, and a lot of negative stuff that is happening in the media. And I don't need to tell you guys, you are already watching the news all the time. At least there is one industry that is growing, and I'm sure during this COVID time, during the lockdown time, you guys have bought a lot of stuff from retail stores, whether it is your neighborhood kirana store or it is a large store, but a lot of shopping has happened. In fact, if we look at the stock market, some of these companies are listed. The stocks of these companies during the COVID time, along with pharmaceuticals, has actually gone up. And so even at times which are difficult, this industry grows, So kind of, if I may loosely use the term, it is kind of recession free, at least the food retail part. Yeah, there is luxury retail which might get affected, but the food retail pretty much is, will still see a growth from here onwards. Now in India, there are 14 million outlets, retail outlets, and only 4%, this is interesting for you to know, only 4% are larger than 500 square feet. So we know that there is paucity of space in our country, but with that said, 4% only are larger than 500 square feet. Currently we have 11 shops or 11 outlets per 1,000 people. So just imagine 1,000 people getting catered to by 11 shops. So the still right now there is enough business for everybody who is operating in this space. Now I'll give you a little bit of historical background to how in India retail evolved. Retail has been there for a long time, and I just shared the statistics with you that 91% of retail is unorganized. Retail actually started in the hearts, the melas and the mandis in our country. And I live in Mumbai, and in Mumbai I know Crawford Market is one of the oldest modern quote unquote modern retail stores in markets that exists. But pretty much people started coming to mandis, selling stuff. Now, don't confuse retail with trading. Retail is not just trading. Retail is directly selling to a customer. Retail pretty much does not comprise of B2B sales. If it is B2B, it is not retail. Then it gets classified in different places. So the evolution happened where, haats, melas, mandis, they kind of, took the shape of convenience stores, fair price shops, these pan bidi stores in rural India, which started selling shampoos, started selling small size soaps and so on. And that is where the evolution of retail happened. And in today's time, in the last 20 years, it has kind of evolved into hypermarkets and supermarkets and convenience stores and so on. Now, when you study this subject of retail, you will see that the dynamics kind of changes from where you are shopping. When you are shopping in a neighborhood store, when you go to a kirana, tell me, do you negotiate that I want to buy a packet of Frito-Lays which has 30 rupees written on it for 27 rupees because I get it for 27 rupees at D-Mart? No, you don't do that. So a convenience store is pretty much for your top-up shopping. Or if you are somebody who's taking bhaiye wale ke saath mein hisab that I will pay at the end of the month, then you are pretty much using the neighborhood store for your complete basket of shopping. But otherwise, in retail world, it is said that 60% of our shopping that we do at home for food is planned, and 40% is top-up or unplanned shopping. And that is what we do there. Now, when we go to a large store, we go to a hypermarket like a D-Mart or a Big Bazaar or a Reliance store, thinking that, I will get some good discounts here. One is I will get a range and I will also get discounts. So the consumer psychology also changes as the size of the formats keeps changing. Yeah. Now, let me take you to a space where, what is driving retail in India. Now, it is the young people like you who are driving retail in India. If I look at India as a whole, as a population base, the number of young adults in this country are increasing. In the past, the last census in 2011, more than 50% of the country was in the range of 18 to 49 years of age. Average age today in 2020, if we Google and if we look at, is about 29 years. So we are a very young country, and that is the young people obviously have, then go on to, they are the highest consumers. Consumption patterns are highest for, you guys spend a lot of your money on food retailing and restaurants and so on. So that is one major driving factor for retail in India. Also, there are some other things, rising internet penetration, which is giving rise to, a lot of online retailing that's happening. Rising women population, working women population, that's another a huge one. Rising incomes and increasing purchasing power. Today you have so many choices, you want to try out new things. That is fueling retail in India. On the rural side, if I have to give you a broad perspective, about 70% of the rural market, 70% of the total population base is actually our rural markets. But they only contribute 40% of the overall basket that we have. And we will start seeing that, today rural economy will start developing, and this number from 40% will actually start going up to maybe 45, 48, 50, and so on. Yeah. Now, some of the commonalities that I want to talk to you about, after doing hotel management, when you are doing hotel management, I know there are 4 areas which are core areas. And we often talk about those core areas all the time during the program, which are your areas of specialization. pretty much, I think it is housekeeping, it is front office, it is F&B, and it is culinary. And I want to tell you here that no matter in which area you have specialized in, you will find commonalities in retail. Now, let's take an example of housekeeping. Yeah, and you will think that Mayank is saying that there are commonalities. What kind of a commonality do we have between housekeeping and retail? Does it make sense? Now, what does housekeeping actually teach you? Housekeeping broadly teaches you how to organize and place things in the right manner. Broadly, very broadly speaking, it teaches you how to organize and place things in the right manner so it creates maximum impact, right? Now, if I have to draw a parallel between this particular objective and retail, retail is about placing the products in the right manner in the store so people see them and they buy them. There is a saying in retail, "Jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai." And there is a huge whole science behind placement of products. You would have probably heard about this term called planogramming. Now, planograms are pretty much how placement of different products should happen in a store. Now, if something is, let me give you an example. If something is kept at eye level, then you see it the easiest. And that is what sells the most. So if you have to create some categories where you want to showcase something to a customer, you put it at the eye level. If there are certain things which are there in your basket all the time, sugar is there in your basket, butter is in your basket, in your shopping list. Now you will look for butter and you will look for sugar, but you will make sure that before your shopping cycle gets concluded, you will have that in your trolley. But there are certain things, maybe a new chocolate biscuit, you might miss that. And that is where this whole science of planogramming works. Depth, width of this thing, how different type of variants need to be placed. So you are learning housekeeping in hotel management. Just the parallel is this one. Now, let me tell you a secret. In physical retail, going forward, physical retail will not exist without F&B, without food services. Now you'll ask me, the only thing that I don't like about webinar kind of sessions is that it is not interactive, so to say. And maybe one of the days, if Sandeep and Anjana, they are kind enough to invite me over, I would like to have a face-to-face interaction with you guys. Because a lot gets kind of discussed and humongous kind of learning comes out when we are interacting face-to-face. But nevertheless, now, retail, if it's not in your neighborhood, if you have to drive down 5 or 6 kilometers from your home, how many times does a customer actually go to these retail stores? I will tell you the average is a little more than, a little less than 2 months. So about 1.7 is the number. And now, because you will get your ration, you will get everything, you will get your planned purchases in place, and then for small things, you will rely on your kirana store, your neighborhood store to buy those things. Yeah. Now, food services, what it does is it creates a gamut of fresh items which are consumed on a regular basis. And these items are meat. If you're a non-vegetarian, you bring in meat at your home, you will do that. You buy meat 2 or 3 times in a week. Yeah. Bread, you will buy bread at least twice a week. You'll buy your vegetables at least twice a week. You will buy other fresh categories at least once or twice, your fruits and so on. So I'm saying that dairy, another example. So I'm saying that as soon as you start placing fresh categories and F&B kind of items, in F&B there are meal kits, which is big, fresh meal kits, home meal replacement items, convenience food items like parathas and so on. All these broadly classify within the F&B fresh space of retail. Now, as soon as you put that, people will start coming in specially for these. and the footfall overall will go up when people come in to buy these fresh items and these freshly baked products and so on. People will also do more buying for the toothpaste, for cleaning stuff, for groceries and so on. Yeah, so it is imperative for physical retailers to bring in fresh items. Also now I am seeing that there is a trend that all the online guys are getting into putting in fresh categories. For example, Amazon has started its fresh pantry. So they are selling bread, they are selling milk, they are selling a whole host of fresh category items. This will become imperative. Now, if I talk about physical retail, in physical retail, there are live kitchens, live bakeries. Now, live kitchen, I'll give you an example. At Big Bazaar and Future Group and Reliance, where I worked, we set up a lot of live kitchens within hypermarket stores and supermarket stores. Now, typically a customer takes about 50 minutes to an hour to do their shopping. Now, they get tired, they want a break while they are shopping. And during this shopping journey, if there is an opportunity for them to stop and have maybe a bakery puff, maybe have a slice of pizza, or maybe have a small pastry or something, that would be a welcome thing in the shopping journey. And that is where having live kitchens and live bakeries plays a huge role. A live bakery again, creates a humongous impulse that देखो ताजी चीजें बन रही हैं, let me buy some bread, or let me buy some baked sticks, or let me buy some bakery specialities, or a fresh pastry, which otherwise would only find consumption if there is a special occasion. So these kind of also work as anchor categories which create impulse and also a welcome break in the journey of shopping journey on that particular occasion. So that is where a lot of physical retailers are setting up live kitchens, live bakeries, some also food courts, also shop in shops. That is another huge space. So you would have seen that some of these D-marts and all have a Chandu Halwai. So Chandu Halwai is basically a shop in shop, or a Ghasita Ram, or a Haldi Ram. So they setting up their shop. Now this shop in shop again is to create breaks in that shopping journey and offer something unique to a customer, for which the customer will come back again and again. You would have seen dairy, Punjab and Sindh, where we're selling loose paneer. Now, if people get hooked on to that paneer, they will come to the hypermarket for that paneer. So a lot of times these become, unsaid anchors for retail. And that is where, and whether it is making paneer, whether it is bakery, whether it is patisserie, whether it is chocolates, making different cuisines in live kitchens, all of this requires a mindset of a hotel management professional, what you are learning today. And that is how I'm connecting the two. Now, at Future Group, I can share the numbers with you. At Future Group, if the business that I was managing in only the fresh categories, I was also taking care of their commissaries business, which had a separate P&L. But if I just look at the fresh categories was a 434 crore number, 434 crore annual number. So I'm saying that huge business opportunity. And I had a team which spread across 5 different zones, and a large team with a general manager at each of those places representing food services as a category and fresh as a category. So I'm saying that this can open up a totally new avenue for you guys, and you must explore that. And also, if one looks at retail, retail, if I have to break it broadly, there is one part, there is manufacturing. And you could be, a manufacturer of a food product if you want to be an entrepreneur. There are wholesalers in intermediaries. Wholesalers, there is a supply chain gamut, there is a warehousing gamut, and opportunities also lie there. Now, let me give you an example of QSR chains. These QSR chains they have a lot of products which are frozen. Now these frozen products need a sitting space before, through a robust supply chain mechanism, they go to each of the stores, the patty and so on. So I'm saying that there are opportunities for you in these spaces, which pretty much form part of the larger retail family, the larger retail industry. So I think you guys are getting groomed with the right mindset from a hotel management point of view, and you can look at retail broadly from a career perspective. Now coming back to commonalities between the two. Now I know the easiest commonality is culinary and F&B, but now let us look at the front office. If you look at front office, what is taught in front office? In front office, they teach you upselling, they teach you yield management, they teach you revenue management, all of these things, selling more. So all of these things are actually part of retail operations. A shop floor store manager goes through a training in all of these aspects. You've already got training in this thing. Somebody asked me a question, gamut. Gamut is the entire spectrum of things, of activities. And then the matrix kind of changes. We look at per square foot returns in retail stores. In hotels, we see how many room nights are sold, the occupancy percentages. So the context kind of, the backdrop changes, but the context is the same. It is, every business has to make money, and there are certain metrics that they follow, and there are a lot of commonalities in these. And I see that before I get into question answer session, I also want to tell you that you should probably get into a habit of studying retail at your own level, immaterial of what is being taught to you in school, in your hotel management program. You must look at retail as a student, as an observer. Now, one of the things that we learned was actually going to retail stores, just standing there and seeing people buy stuff. This is called trolley observations. And I'll tell you, the top leaders in the retail industry also do trolley studies. Now, a trolley actually teaches you how people are buying. Try to understand the psychology. What is going through the mind of a customer when they are buying? So why did they buy an organic pack versus a regular pack? What does it tell you about that customer? Also do a guess game that when they move to the next aisle, what kind of products would they buy? And you will see that it becomes a game of learning for you. So don't take life so seriously. Don't take your studies so seriously. Go out and actually learn through observations, and you will see that you learn beautiful lessons through that. And I'll give you an example. One of my one of the senior leaders I was talking to, that senior leader told me that, do you know how you can know whether the person is buying a full basket or a top-up basket? I said, no, I don't know. And they said that if the basket, if the trolley has salt in it, then this is a shopping list that they are referring to, because salt is not something which is an impulse item. It never comes top of your mind when you are going out shopping. Salt is the last thing. जब घर में बोला जाता है salt ले आना है तो problem हो जाएगी. Then you buy salt. So I'm saying, and then there are hundreds of such examples and very interesting examples, and you will start kind of observing these all by yourself. So do that, and also read industry reports. There are a lot of like hospitality industry, retail. Also, you Google, you'll find a lot of industry reports there. These are 20-30 page reports. You can scroll through them in about 45 minutes. Go through these. participate in webinars like this, participate in webinars, go to LinkedIn. If you guys are not on LinkedIn, definitely go to LinkedIn and see there are some very, very good retail webinars that are happening, which are free of cost. A lot of industry leaders are talking about this space, and you must go and you must probably benefit from those free seminars. Post-COVID world. Now, post-COVID world, there will be a lot of sensitivity around hygiene, sanitation, washing hands. Now go back to our kitchens. We as hotel management guys have been doing this for right from day one. Whenever we enter our kitchens, we wash our hands. We wear a hairnet. We wear a mask depending on what we are doing. At that point in time, what kind of food we are handling. We have learned about cross-contamination. We have learned about food safety, pathogen growth. All of this is what all industries will start talking about or have already started talking about in the post-COVID world. They will make claims that we do that. You guys are already entrenched in that kind of a mindset. And so you will find it very easy to adapt to the post-COVID world. This COVID will come and go, but your learning will be there. Your learning is there to stay. So be a keen learner, keep learning, and keep asking questions. And with that said, I would kind of open up the floor to questions. So whatever questions, whatever doubts, whatever you want to ask, please go ahead, and I'll try my best to answer your questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I'll take questions one by one as per the request. So I think I have first request from Mr. Amrit Pandey. Please ask your question.
Anjana, can I have some couple of comments before the students ask what they need to ask?
Sure, sir. Sure.
So thank you, Mayank. It was very insightful. I think the only one thing that I'd mention where you don't have to worry. You mentioned, I think, a couple of minutes back, कि पढ़ाई को seriously मत लो. So our students are already there. और नहीं कर सकते उसके अंदर. So please recognize that difficulty. They have that solution already there. Now for all the 90 plus kids who are out there, please write it that you are not hearing him when he said that, because you are already on that page. ये मत करना कि और पढ़ाई कम कर दो, तुम already कम ही करते हो. Right? So please continue to do that. This is an important comment to make, because Anjana ma'am might have a heart attack otherwise. So please don't do that. Right?
Guys,
sir.
Guys,
so that was one. And
I'm on your side, yeah. I'm not with Sanjeev.
I wanted to.
And again, thank you, Mayank. I think this is very insightful to try and have a broader sense of where our skill sets are applicable. And I think for a lot of professionals like yourself who have made it big in domains of their interest and their journeys, it has happened because the skill set was the same, that we acquired when we went to a hotel school, and the values and the skills and the knowledge piece and the capacities are there. So, that's why I was very keen you speak to the students. That's it from me. Thanks once again. And over to the students, and Anjana, all yours.
Sandeep, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to interact with students. I'm looking forward to questions, and I'm sure this would kind of at least get a spark going when it comes to their understanding of retail and the opportunities it offers. I'm glad that I could interact with them, and I'm seeing Amrit Pandey there, and he's ready with a question, and I can see his smiling face on my screen right now. So Amrit, I'm ready to take your question. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is ours. Pleasure is ours.
Good morning, sir. My name is Amrit Pandey, and I would like to ask that when we were discussing, you came up with the name of Punjab, Sindh, and D-Mart. With these brands like Punjab, Sindh, and D-Mart, they are not. It took them a couple of years to grow, and we also discussed that only 10% of this sector comes under organized, and less than 4% has area smaller than 500 square feet. So don't you think there is an very diminished or very less opportunity for an unorganized sector to jump towards organized sector because of many reasons like lack of fund and we were also discussing about live kitchens. So don't you think the millennial, the V generation they have a very short attention span, and they are less loyal towards brands, and they're not really connected towards shopping as being connected and being loyal to a particular brand. I would like to hear from you.
So, Amrit, you've asked multiple questions here. I will start with your first question, which is DMart and Punjab and Sindh. So, I was referring to a concept called SIS, which is shop and shop. And the example that I gave was that within a DMart, which is a large box discounter and a hypermarket, how shop and shop opportunities like a prominent brand in the dairy space like Punjab and Sindh operating. Now, when he sells a Malai Paneer, which is a very unique Malai Paneer, then people might come back to that particular DMart to buy the Malai Paneer, not to buy that Nestle milk in a Tetra pack, or not to buy the Ashirwad Atta, but come there to buy that unique paneer which they don't get in the neighborhood. So, so the point I was making was that SISs are a huge opportunity to bring in more number of customers into the store, and SIS kind of categories come under food services because we as food professionals understand paneer, milk, dairy kind of products, mithai, better than a lot of other people who do staples and so on, non-food staples and so on. So I was talking about that context. Second is that I told you about the size of retail. Now the size of the retail is $980 billion. That is the size. It's almost nearing $1 trillion, right? And in $1 trillion kind of industry size, even if you are 10%, you are talking about almost $100 billion. So $100 billion is a humongous space. And what will happen? See, remember one thing, that when an industry or a country grows, the other aspects also grow. This is not a game where, you know, only one part is growing, but rest of it remains stagnant. So where consumption is growing in the modern retail segment, also consumption is growing in the neighborhood stores. And they are also trying their best to modernize themselves. So they are still rated, called as kiranas or neighborhood stores, but now they will have their own POS systems. They will have inventory management modules. And youngsters like you will come up with, you know, food tech enablers for them, which will modernize them. So, you know, as it has happened in other countries, we will see this number, which is 9%, actually growing to about a 12, 13, 14% in times to come, in the decade to come. So opportunity for you will remain wonderful. जैसे वो अपने रेस्टोरेंट के बिजनेस के अंदर बोलते थे ना कि I have a 200 cover restaurant and I am looking at doing 3 turns, तो मुझे 600 कस्टमर चाहिए. दिल्ली के अंदर कितनी पॉपुलेशन है उससे मेरा मतलब नहीं है. मेरे 600 कस्टमर अगर आ गए and they eat in my restaurant is going to be a phenomenal success. So you have to basically look at the opportunity from a bite-sized perspective for yourself. Yeah? Does that answer your question?
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir. Totally does. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Amrit.
Yes,
I think
Anjana,
the next question will go to Kumar Abhi.
Good morning, sir. My morning. So my question is that since we were talking about retails, so I wanted to ask what is the career progression in retail and what is the future in retail business as of the current the coronavirus and etc. And also, is there any management trainee program in retail? And if they do, then do they only hire from sales or do they also take interest in the hotel industry also?
Now, good question, Abhi. Abhi, retailers really value people with hotel management background. Fresh category is something which is very difficult for a typical retailer to handle. And they know that the kind of training that you all go through in the hotel management programs is actually very valuable for them. So there are, and I have operated for the large part of my career out of the head office. Head office definitely hires people from hotel management institutes, and also from institutes like IIT, IIMs, and so on, management institutes, both bachelor's, post-bachelor's, and master's programs. So don't see yourself as, you can do an internship at a store level and kind of, learn how the dynamics of store operations work. So, seeing yourself in the shoes of a store manager, seeing yourself in the shoes of an assistant store manager, and kind of, joining as a trainee assistant store manager. So I see after hotel management, the first progression to be somewhere in the assistant store manager category. These internships can actually be through the zonal offices and the head offices. Now, on a separate discussion, I will speak to Sandeep, and we'll see that how we can maybe organize a few retailers, top retailers, to come on campus for interviews when you guys are ready to for your placements or go out for your internships and so on. So we can deliberate that and see how that can be made possible. Career progression is, I see people who do hotel management to get to a store manager level, from store manager to area manager, regional manager, then maybe the area head, the head for a particular region. If you are in the head office, also kind of becoming head of fresh category. So you can have a whole category, for example, like fruits and vegetables, or maybe home meal replacement and live kitchens, live bakeries. That itself can be a 30-40 crore business, and you could be probably the next in command or the guy who's heading that business, after 2 or 3 years of experience in retail. So let me tell you, retail also has better pay scales, very good pay scales when compared to a lot of other industry parallels. So and I also told you that food retailing is a fairly recession proof business. People will continue to buy the essentials, and fresh is all essentials. During good times, people will look at choices and buying more expensive stuff, but the basic will always sell. So I see huge opportunity in this space for students like you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Abhi, and thank you. So the next question is by Mr. Sanjeev Gulati. He's asking that how retail company like Big Bazaar and Reliance are maintaining food safety and environmental concern along with food cost control.
Okay, so how they are maintaining food safety? Okay, so food safety obviously will be it is multi-layered. Food safety for grocery items will be very different. So there we look at our warehousing, right from we actually go back to our vendors. So we do a lot of GMP practices, which is good manufacturing practices with our key vendors. So we go back in the value chain at the point of source. We see what kind of material they are using for the end product that they are sending to us. We also look at their warehousing facility, whether products are being kept 6 inches away from the floor, whether they are palletized properly, whether those items are kept in the right temperature depending on the type of product. So if it's a frozen product, is it at -18 or below? If it's a chilled product, is it between 1 and 4 degrees? All of those things we do. Plus at the retail store level, we have checks and balances. There are different checklists, temperature checklists, temperature logs that are maintained. So, if you look at the chain from manufacturing to actual retailing inside the store, there are many multi-layered levels where we look at food safety and hygiene. And in the post-COVID world, people will get more sensitized to this through wearing masks and using gloves and so on. But it will continue. That journey has always been there because of direct customer interface and dealing with food, handling food on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think the next question is from Mr. Virendra Chauhan. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, I want to ask that my question is related to Kumar Abhik, but it's different. So, what are the expectation of chef related to retail sector? Like, what kinds of jobs are seeking for the chef?
So, Virendra, a lot of retailers, whether it is online retailers or offline retailers, are getting into creating their own private labels. And I see a lot of opportunity for people with chef and culinary background there. Because you understand baking. So whether it is baking, whether it is convenience products, meal kits, they all require knowledge of culinary. And that's where chefs can come in and they can work with food companies, customize a product for the customer that particular retailer is catering to, and then kind of sell it across multiple stores. So I see opportunities for chefs there in creating private labels for retailers. I also see them heading live kitchen, live bakery, non-veg stores in a very big way. Now, how the evolution will happen, if I look at non-veg, non-veg will not be just regular non-veg. It will be different type of marinated stuff. It will be different type of tikkas, kebabs, ready to eat, ready to cook. And all of those would require chef interventions. Innovating in with a different type of seasonings, all of these things. And I think that is where culinary skills will be very, very useful. So within the fresh food space, I see opportunity for somebody like you who is specializing or is inclined towards culinary, excelling.
Thanks, sir. There is one more thing to ask. Like, I was reading an article about the retail market. It was estimated by 2026, it will be growth will expected to 1.6 trillion, which will participate the 10% in our GDP. What are the impact of Corona COVID-19 on this? What are the low rate will grow?
See, I am only a student of retail like you. When it comes to crisis, pandemics like Corona, we don't know what will happen tomorrow and how this will pan out. But at this juncture, what I see is that definitely the next 2 to 3 quarters will get seriously impacted. So, and the impact, Virendra, mainly comes from our fears. We will be fearful of being spendthrift. We'll be fearful of spending more. So, and that will show in our behavior in all aspects of buying. And retail is about buying and selling. So when that area gets clouded by our fears, we will buy less. We will only buy what we need. We will not be spendthrift. So I do see consumption taking a hit in the next 2 to 3 quarters, which is another 9 months. After that, slowly and gradually, I see things kind of coming back on track. If this COVID thing does not go out of hand, we just hope and pray that it does not. So yes, there will be a negative impact in the next 2 to 3 quarters. And you are talking about 1.6 trillion. I've already told you a statistics that today we stand around 980 billion. So which is close to a trillion. So I see that 1.6 trillion, maybe if they are projected at 2024 or 25, it will probably go to a 26, 27. So it will push it back by a year or two. But beyond that, the statistics will not get so badly affected.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Right.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Well, I don't think that we have any more questions. So thank you so much, sir. As sir said, I think we have one more. Just wait.
Tushar, I think, is asking the question.
Yeah. Okay, he has a question that how can we motivate lower middle class people to shop at big retails like Big Bazaar Even majority of people like to shop at common kirana shops as they don't have to pay GST. But at Big Bazaar and Reliance, we have to pay GST. Can we do something?
Okay, so firstly, let me correct that everybody has to pay GST, immaterial of where they are buying from. Um, we India is a very socialistic setup. We are a socialistic setup. When government is making policies, they look at the bottom of the pyramid and how those policies kind of impact bottom of the pyramid and up. So that is the approach. So GST is already incorporated in the MRP that is there on each pack. So if a pack of biscuits has 30 rupees written on it, GST is already incorporated in that 30 rupees MRP. When they go to a Big Bazaar or when they go to any modern retail outlet, they do not pay anything more than that. In America, it happens that there is no MRP kind of system, but in India, we are very regimented when it comes to that. So one is that it's a myth, get it out of your mind. Everybody pays GST, immaterial of whether they are buying it from a Pan Bigli store or from a Big Bazaar. The GST and other statutory taxation remains the same. So that's answering one question. And second is that what are large retailers like Big Bazaar and DMart doing to bring in lower middle class into the stores? Now, there are two approaches that retailers have. Now, if I have to look at Big Bazaar and if I have to look at DMart, I would classify them in two different buckets. DMart is a deep discounter. A deep discounter is one who will negotiate with the vendors, take a position that they will buy so many million tons of a particular product. They will determine a price. They will work out a fixed margin and then sell that product at that fixed margin. So their margin remains the same, maybe 8% or 9%. However, a value creator is one that keeps on selling you more and more through value addition. So if you are buying, say, atta, they will try and sell you oat atta. So the concept of upselling that you have in hoteliering, they apply that. So they are value creators. So a DMart will always kind of try to penetrate into the lowest strata of society and get the lower middle class and everybody. A Big Bazaar will not do that. So each of these retailers have their own strategies, then their own TGs, their own target groups, and they act upon these strategies based on these TGs. So if you are looking at a lower middle class customer coming into a large store, definitely go and observe DMart and you'll see a lot of those. Yeah, it is part of their strategy.
Okay, so thank you. I think we have the next question. As a store owner, if you have to choose between 50% off or buy one, get one, which one would you offer to customers and why?
See, buy one, get one is a better strategy because you would, the consumption will be higher. So buy one, get one is a better strategy.
Yeah, at least you're buying one more product.
Yeah, you're buying one more product, and also when something when people do BOGO is when they want to get rid of an inventory. So maybe it is near expiry inventory, or you have too much of it. You don't have enough space in the your warehouse to keep that product because it's voluminous, or there can be a gamut of reasons. So you want to get rid of it quickly, and that is where you put in a buy one get one. So at least 2 packs of that gets sold.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I think one more question from Amrit Pandey. In a post-COVID-19, do we expect people will have higher inclination towards an organized sector for buying household items for the matter of hygiene and sanitation? Well, I think yes. Sir, please.
Both. See, I'll tell you, Amrit, habit change is one of the most difficult things to achieve. If you have got into a habit and also relationships, वो जो बगल वाला किराने वाला बंदा होता है ना, उसके साथ अपनी एक रिलेशनशिप होती है, भाई डायरी में लिख लेना, है ना, वो sentence. So when you have a dearth of money, cash at that point in time, you can tell your neighborhood store wala, यार देता हूँ पैसे जरा diary में लिख लेना, and maybe you will give him money after 40 days. You can't do the same in organized retail. So there will be takers of organized retail, there will be takers of this thing. दोनों चीजें होंगी. So I don't think one will eat into the other. दोनों होगा, both will flourish. But both have to be sensitive to hygiene practices. देखो दो चीजें होती हैं, एक होता है perception of hygiene और एक होता है hygiene. तो perception of hygiene तो at least सबको करना जरूरी है, is what I feel. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yash Agarwal wants to understand from the seller perspective that which one would be beneficial. It's 50% off or buy one get one.
From the seller's perspective.
Yes. If we talk about seller's perspective, so I think the one who is selling it, yeah, it's the buy one get one. I think which we answered.
From the seller's perspective also, buy one get one is better.
Yeah. Okay. Then the Kumar Rabhi's question again. Retail has already reached $1 trillion. India is a developing country, has a total GDP of $2.9 trillion economy. So are we looking forward as retail to be the most successful and economy generating prospect?
Absolutely. The answer is yes, and with a capital Y.
Okay, great.
So, thank you.
I believe we have answered all the questions. Sir, thank you so much. I think it was insightful session for all of us. We never looked retail industry from this angle like you actually brought us, whether it's a supply chain or whether it's just the operations or whether it's the kitchen or whether it's the catering. So thank you so much. And I feel that I wish that sir and you discuss and find good opportunities for our students with respect to internship. And it'll be great for students to learn as well.
Thank you so much, Anja. It was a pleasure. And thank you everyone who stayed here patiently to hear me. And thank you, and hope to see you guys again soon.
Okay,
thank you
so much.
Thank you, Anjana. Thank you.
Welcome, Mayank. Absolutely welcome. And in better times, when we can fly and when you can travel, you have to come to the campus and spend some time with the students. I think we would really love to have you over. Look forward to better days ahead for that to happen. Thank you again.
Would love to do that, Sandeep. Thank you so much for having me.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anjana.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, mother. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Abhi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.